The title for our message today is How Healthy Are We? Which is somewhat ironic, I guess. You know, this fall, for a while, I shaved off my beard. And I had a lot of people talking to me about how much younger that made me look once I lost all the gray whiskers. You know, the thing is, I don't mind getting older. It's better than the alternative. The problem is when I shave my beard off, I realize that my face looks to be about 1.5 feet wide. See, that's something I have control over. You know, I admit reacting this way is a bit silly. My coats have gotten a lot tighter. My wife is shrinking them. I look into, we went to Mexico and I'm swimming around in the water in a bathing suit and it wasn't what I used to seeing. You know, I've become a much more substantial man lately. But frankly, it took uncovering my face to really bring it home to me personally. You know, we often lie to ourselves. And while there are serious problems with being too heavy, they do not have the same problem. It's not the same power as lies about our spiritual health. So how healthy are we? Please turn to Matthew 25. One of the biggest lies we can tell ourselves is that we have plenty of time. It's not time to get in shape physically, time to get in shape spiritually, but that we have all the time we need. Matthew 25, verses 1 through 5. Then the kingdom of heaven shall be likened to 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. Now five of them were wise and 5 were foolish. Those who were foolish took their lamps, but took no oil with them. The wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. But while the bridegroom was delayed, they all slept. They all slept. That's something to think about. In this parable, all the virgins fell asleep. That wasn't set the wise apart from the foolish. No, the real distinction between the two groups was their grasp of time. When the cry went out at midnight to go and meet the bridegroom, in those days, lamps burned with olive oil. That's what they used. And olive oil is shown in the Bible is used as a symbol of the Holy Spirit. Only the 5 wise virgins had their vessels full of oil. That is, full of the God's Holy Spirit. The other 5, they were running low. All 10 had lamps. All 10 knew the lamps required oil to function. All 10 knew those lamps were necessary and important. But here again is the key distinction. Only 5 had taken the effort to spend the time to fill them. The other 5 attempted to slide by with whatever little they had, only to discover at a critical moment it just wasn't enough. Why? Because they lied to themselves about what they needed to do and how much time they had to get ready. They were sitting in the room with the wise virgins. They knew the bridegroom was coming. They were there when he was announced. But only at that moment did they try to get ready. The lesson to this parable is that prepare now while we still have time. And we really do need to take this to heart. We live in what seems like an instantaneous world. Hungry? Stop at a drive-thru. By the time you get to the window, the food that you ordered will be prepared for you. Need a book, printer cartridges, a new exercise program? Just about anything else, Amazon Prime can next day it to you. But nothing is truly instant. Not really. That burger that you ordered, it was made in a batch by the dozens or the hundreds, just in case you came by and needed one. That book you ordered, it was manufactured on costly equipment that took years to develop and design. And when it was shipped through a delivery system that has been evolving and improving for centuries. Some things do require time. The degree to which we want or need them in a particular moment, that's completely irrelevant. These things did not come with a buy it now or one-day shipping options. They are attained through weeks, years, and decades of effort and unceasing commitment. The Holy Spirit is one of those. We receive it as a gift in baptism. And all 10 virgins, at least at some point, had some oil in their lamps. But what happens afterwards, that depends on us. The Holy Spirit is one of these things. How do we make sure we store up the oil we need for our lamps? We keep ourselves in shape spiritually. It's a lot like keeping in shape physically, watching what we consume, and exercising daily. How we make what we store up in a lamp? Let's start with consumption. Physically, this is my weakness. Many of the things I like to eat are high in carbs, fats, and I have a sweet tooth. At home, I'm fine because my wife cooks for healthy meals that taste great. She's very careful for me. On my own, not so much. The same can be true of our spiritual life. In the Sabbath, we regularly get a healthy serving of what we need. It's fulfilling. But what do we eat when we're on our own? When we don't have someone watching out for us? During our lives, it's okay to enjoy a novel, a movie, a podcast. I like to read old science fiction books and westerns. This is kind of a mental break. But this is a spiritual concept. It's spiritual, that's equivalent to spun sugar. Cotton candy. We exercise by putting into practice what we've consumed. So what are we consuming? Tapping into the mind of God relies on a lifetime of effort on our part, a lifetime of praying, studying, fasting, and of meditating. Spending time with our brethren. It's one of the benefits of coming up here. I get to spend time with more of my brethren. There are no shortcuts to any of these steps, though, which is why the foolish virgins ran into trouble. When the bridegroom returned, they were hoping to acquire in a single moment something that had taken a lifetime and years to cultivate. When it comes to doing what I should do, I personally am a momentum guy. Routine is my friend. Be it physical exercise, eating right, Bible study, prayer, you name it. If I can get on a roll, I'm better. Too often, I lose direction in my diet or other things by taking a vacation that lasts months. I found myself struggling to regain lost ground. I'm doing that right now. We can damage our spiritual health the same way. Thoughts like, hey, we've got time. Perhaps that we even have time to go off and try other ways of life. Then to come back to what we should be doing, come back to a godly life. That way I'll see Christ return. I know the signs. Please hold your place here, but turn to 2 Peter 3. 2 Peter 3:10. The farther we stray from God's life, the less likely we are to hear or see any of the signs that we think we're going to be looking for. 2 Peter 3:10. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works therein shall be burned up. You know, I've lost way too many friends who thought that they would see what was coming, that they could go off and do whatever and then come back. I've had very few of them come back, and I love each and every one of them that does. But, and I'm not picking on the younger people, and there are very few of them in the audience today, when I say it's easier for them to make the mistake of thinking that they have time to change. Hey, you have more possible years in front of you than I do. As we get older, we realize that one way or the other, things do come to an end. If we die today, are we ready? Are we ready for God's return, for Christ's return? I'm not. And at some point, we will have no more time. You can't just order God's Spirit the next day from Amazon. God's Holy Spirit doesn't work that way. You can't borrow it from somebody else. When the bridegroom returns and Jesus Christ descends from the heavens and gathers his brethren, your lamp will either be full or it won't. In that moment, there are no shortcuts, no easy fixes, no buy it now but it. Either we're here, we're ready, we've put in the work we need, or we didn't. Either we nurtured our connection to God's Spirit, or we let it dwindle away. Let's finish the parable in Matthew, verses 10 through 13. Hopefully you did save your place. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready went in with him to the wedding, and the door was shut. Afterwards, the other virgins came also, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us. But he answered and said, Assuredly, I say to you, I do not know you. Watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour in which the Son of Man is coming. You know, I'd love to say that it's never too late to start. But that's simply not true. It's not. That's the whole point. One day it will be too late. There's an old Chinese proverb that says the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. You know, the best time to start filling our lamps was 20 or more years ago. The second best time is right now, because we do not want to be on the wrong side of that door when it's shut.